snap out of it. They wouldn't change it. The American dream is fluid and it changes. When your parents' American dream requires 3 jobs and a lifetime of debt, it's not a dream anymore. It's a nightmare. This video is inspired by those of you who do not understand that van life is part of the American dream. It really is. There are a lot of us out here who want to be here. There's also just as many, maybe even a little bit more recently, of those who don't want to be here. But this is inspired by you for comments that I've read that I kind of like want to put the rest of us Americans inside of a box. And inside of that box is the theory that life can only be lived inside of a bricks and mortar home. I'm a Minivan Lee, and I have lived in a minivan for 8 years now. This is my home. Do you like it? And this is also my studio. I make coffee and I share it. So here's yours. Here's mine. Cheers. It's perfect. I brewed it perfectly. And it's the right temperature so you won't burn your mouth, okay? Now I want to get started with this because I've got some really good theories and really good ideas. And this is all revolved around van life. So don't go anywhere. This is van life. And because I have lived, this is my life. And I still get comments from people who are new to the channel, and they literally have never heard of van life. It's like, what are you doing? This is horrible. Where are your children? Why aren't they helping you? Why would you? This is horrible, you living in a van. You know, I did this by choice. I wanted to do this. I really want you to watch this all the way through, okay? Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Yeah, so let's go. Hey, before we really get started with this, I have a good announcement. Woo! Okay, so it is now on sale on Amazon, a new thriller. It is called Night Owl's Digital Shadows, a van life thriller. This is a good one. Now you say, wow, this is your second one. Well, I told you in the summer, if you've been with me a long time, when I was in my summer home, my summer area, I was writing. And some of these just now recently got completed. So I am offering this to you, Night Owls. It's on Night Owl's Digital Shadow. So let's go ahead and get started with this idea of this American dream, this fluid American dream, because really, the American dream really is a fantasy. Don't you think? In many ways it is, because it's fluid. So what one generation found as the blueprint of the American dream really isn't the American dream anymore. Van life, it's where it's at. I realized that I am more like the Lakota Sioux Indians. I know American Indians from Dances with Wolves, because they had, if you remember watching it, I know all of you have seen it. If there's somebody who hasn't seen it, oh my gosh, please let me know if you have not seen that. They had a summer home and they had a winter home. Now, they lived in teepees, but I live in a minivan. Now, if you don't know who I am, or you haven't been following me for a long time, welcome. And I traveled a little bit more. I traveled more I've been doing this 8 years, in the earlier years. But the last couple of years, I get kind of tired of driving and trying to, figure things out. I'm kind of done with that for the time being. But what I do is I have a summer area where I go in the summer, higher elevation, so I can stay cool. And then in the winter, I come back down to Tucson, which I lived here 45 years in Tucson. I still have children here, grandchildren. So in the winter, I come to Tucson, which a lot of snowbirds do anyways. But I found that there was a parallel there, that I'm doing the same thing that they were doing. I can move my home anytime I want to. Now, if you're in a bricks and mortar home, you can't do that. Over the 8 years, we're in such a big recession. Inflation is so high that I really am not sure I would want to afford to rent a place anymore. Because, I mean, it would take pretty much everything I have. A lot of us are getting priced out of housing. This all has to do with van life. The wake-up call. This is not about giving up your dreams. This is not about giving up your dreams at all. It's about creating new dreams that match the reality of what's going on in society, in our nation, in the globe. That's really where we have to live in reality. And if we're being priced out of homes, then we have to come up with a new solution. And to me, that's the American dream. We are so creative because we have the freedom to create what we feel is our reality, as long as we're not hurting other people. Mobility really is our history in America. Mobility. So let's start with covered wagons, right? I mean, they wanted to be mobile. They wanted to move. And guess what? For months, they lived in their covered wagon. I'll bet when they actually stopped, there wasn't enough room in there. So what happened is when they stopped, that they would have the kids or some of them go out and sleep outside, which is what a lot of van lifers do. That's a nomad life, right? So one of you asked me, why do you have a tent if you have a minivan? Well, some of us, what we do is when we go on BLM land, which is Bureau of Land Management. That was the first acronym that was created for BLM, okay? Okay? Okay, so, so we have tents that we put them up if we're going to stay a while. We can put some of our stuff in there. We can, it's an extra room, okay? It's just being creative. And then they really didn't have a home that they built yet, log cabin or whatever. So they stayed in, all their stuff was in their covered wagon. Now let's go up just a little bit. We've got the Lakota Sioux. We've got the covered wagons. Now let's go after the Depression. There was so much going on after the Depression, the 29. I found an article in the Chicago Tribune about it that was written in 1931. And what people were doing is they were fashioning their Model A's and their Model T's, and they were building like wood around it, and they were living in their vehicles. They called them auto camps. Yes. Yeah, they were makeshift communities of Americans living in their vehicles, pushed out of their homes by economic collapse and environmental disasters. They weren't living their best life on Instagram like we do here. I'm not really your Instagram van lifer who's got this fancy build out, this Mercedes Sprinter. I'm just in a lowly little minivan, right? But I'm living my best life, okay? It's really about attitude. So does this sound familiar? History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme, okay? I'll tell you. Let's do another example. What about the Dust Bowl? I'm so interested in that Dust Bowl. Have you watched that Ken Burns documentary about, it's like 5 or 6 parts to the Dust Bowl. The Okies from Muskokies? Right. Well, the Dust Bowl, and this was in the 30s, forced them to move. And they were so poor. They had no income anymore because they were trying to do farming, and the Dust Bowl came. Well, there's a whole thing. I won't go into why it all happened. It was really a disaster. It was a disaster of farming. Yeah. They got rid of in the prairies, they got rid of all the topsoil, and that didn't work. And so the dust, yeah. Okay. But they had like Model A trucks from Ford. And yeah, they moved to California, and they lived in their trucks. They also had auto camps where they all were living. They were looking for work. on the coast. So, they also had to makeshift. Grapes of Wrath. It had Henry Fonda in it, and, it was star-studded. Well, they were living in the vehicles. And I'm sure they did the same thing that covered wagons did, because that they had to do, where maybe they sent the kids out or the adults and they slept outside on blankets or whatever. And then they would hop in the day, they would hop in and, move if they had to. Yeah, but the vehicle was their main, it kept all of their goods, their food in there, and kept everything from the elements. But most of their time was out and about. Now, I spend a lot of time outside too. What I do is I find parks and I spend my day there. I'm outside in my van quite a bit. I go to restaurants. I go to stores. I can travel around. I can see my children and grandchildren while I'm here in Tucson. But I'm like the Lakota Sioux Indians. I do my hunting. I know. I do my hunting in the area of the season. I hunt up north where the elevation is higher in Arizona in the summer. And then I hunt in Tucson. I hunt for my food. I hunt for my supplies. I hunt for, people to talk to, for interaction, my social interaction. Get it? Are you snapping out of it yet? Yeah. The American dream, I'll tell you, is it's very fluid. And I do believe that younger generations really are not interested in some of this. One of the main parts of the American dream was really post-World War II, is to own a home, the white picket fence, well, maybe not the white picket fence, but owning a home and raising a family. A lot of the young people, they're so priced out of our society at this point that they don't even want to have children anymore because they know that they're not going to be able to afford them. And if you want to tell me all about how the young people are lazy, they're not lazy. Hey, my grandkids and my children are from younger generations. I'm not going to put them down. They're really hard workers. Well, the younger people, they don't want to work. Their heads are in just basically in their devices on their phones or just staring at their phones. Well, from what I see a lot of seniors with their heads in their phones too. So it's not just the younger generation. I don't like to dump on generations. I'm not like that. I love young people. I love being around them. They've got great ideas. They just got different ideas. And I mean, if you're home, if you're a senior citizen and you're in your bricks and sticks, a lot of you, not all of you, I don't want to put everybody in the same box, but a lot of you are sitting on your lazy boy chairs or your couches and you're watching TV. A lot of you are on your iPads watching movies. Now, a lot of you, and I am very social media, I'm very techie. I stayed with it. I'm very young-minded, and I always stay with that. But yeah, we're all on our phones, so I don't want to hear, the young people on their phones. From what I see, the older people are on their phones too. We're all on our phones. The American dream really isn't just about owning a home, or maybe some of the traditional ways that we looked at American life, but maybe it's really more about dreaming. We are Americans, and I love America. We are so creative, aren't we? But one American dream, I think that we all can pretty much say that is essential, and that's freedom. The fantasy exposed. Average home price now requires 7.3 years of median income versus 2.7 years in 1960. A college degree, decades of debt. 40-hour work week barely covers rent in most cities. The work hard and you'll succeed narrative ignores systemic barriers. Let's unravel the fantasy. Traditional American dream really was a mirage. It really was. It was good for the post-World War II stable life, but it was a brief historical anomaly. And we've been chasing an impossible standard for all these years. We really have. And I think it's been frustrating a lot of people, especially like the millennials. I mean, the millennials really now are in their early 40s. Well, they're so frustrated because we handed them, well, it wasn't me. I'm from the 60s. I'm more of I like experience, right? Instead of owning things, I do like experience. And I think they're just frustrated. So let's snap out of it. I think that's where really the word snapping out. Let's all snap out of this. And let's create a new reality with that matches what's going on out here. Chasing an impossible standard, really. Now, the American story is about movement at the covered wagons, the 1930s auto camps. And now let's rest on today's van life movement, okay? It's not a new crisis. It's a reoccurring American pattern, right? Why today's dream is breaking down: the housing costs versus wages, college debt, the work hard narrative, and the traditional path now leads to less freedom. If you're working more than 40 hours and you're just, busting your butt to just barely make it, I mean, that's not a dream. That's a nightmare. Real divide in van life, if there's even a divide, and there kind of is some choose this lifestyle and some are forced into it. It really sucks if you're forced into it. But I will say that with a change of attitude, that paradigm shift, once you get going with it and once you can organize yourself, which is really what my channel is about helping you organize your life, that you can have a rip-roaring good time doing this like I am. I love it. And my friends that are in van life, they love this lifestyle. They love it. They wouldn't change it. They would not change it. I get the comments that kind of inspired this. It says, well, you should get help. And why aren't people helping you? And, this is terrible. Or why didn't you save more money? This is your fault. You deserve this. I do deserve this because I love myself. And the minimalism is fantastic. And the freedom is fantastic. Well, let's wrap this up. So what is the new American dream? What is it? Well, it's freedom over ownership. We're all going to die anyways, and we don't take a single thing with us. As long as we have what we need, and I'm a Christian, so I believe that a lot of this, most of this, if not all of this, is given to me through faith, okay? I have a good attitude. I rely on the Lord for what I need and what I want. And I do feel led into this lifestyle. This is true freedom. Experiences over possessions. Mobility over stability. Finding dignity in alternative paths. Yes, we don't have to do everything the same. We're all different, aren't we? Why should I have to live the same life as somebody else with a whole different personality? Some people require a bricks and mortar place to live. And most of you enjoy that. But there's us who have found a new path to freedom and building community instead of equity. Right. Okay. So, there are all types of people, and we can't just put everybody in one little box and expect everybody to be happy. No, American history really is about movement. Thus the word movement, right? People move here and people move there. And that's basically where I say snap out of it. Yeah, we got to quit judging other people, how they live. There's a lot of people that have to do this. So cheers to you. And I hope that you watch a lot of my videos. If you haven't, if you just discovered me, go down and look at my earlier videos. I teach how to do this. Now, I've also written the book, How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Lee Way. And it gives you everything from A to Z of what to even start thinking about. I've got it on ebook and on paperback, okay? It's not expensive. And it really entails, it's got list upon list. People love lists. So you can go with that. And it's not just about minivan life. It's about, there's all kinds of vans out there and RVs and everything. Even sedans, SUVs, yes. This will coordinate with any type of vehicle that you have. Now, I have Night Owls and Digital Shadows, and just type in Minivan Lee on Amazon and I'll come up everywhere. You can type in Minivan Lee on your browser and I come up. My website, I got my website, I've got my storefront of items that I recommend. And let's see please subscribe. Would you do that for me? I really appreciate it when you do. And I really appreciated that you watched it all the way through. Thank you so much. Now, on my website, minivanlee.com, if you want to support me, and that's fine if you are a giving type person, and $5, $10, I got Minivan Lee. Just click on gifts, and I'm right there. So I'm going to see you in a couple days, okay? And I really enjoyed having coffee with you and discussing what this American dream is all about, and van life. Van life has been going on for civilizations and generations, right? It has, and it's a lot of fun. So let's keep talking about van life, okay? I love you guys very much, and I'll see you. Bye, friends.
Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars, I wanna drive